What's up, everybody? Welcome to BioS3 Raw TV. Well, we're going to talk about something tonight that I think it's a pretty popular thing right now ever since the Olympia, and that is Patrick Moore. Now, if you guys don't know who he is sponsored by Labrada Nutrition, or he was. I saw him with a Labrada shirt and stuff on. I saw him with Lee Labrada, but maybe, I don't know if they're still together. I haven't really heard anything about him leaving there. I mean, who the hell knows? Like, some shit could happen like fucking in one day. Next thing you know, like, you know, they're not where they were before. But that being the case, he was in the Olympia this year. It was his first Olympia. He's a young guy, up-and-coming bodybuilder. He's got a great physique. You know, you absolutely seeing him, when you look at him, you just see he has all the tools right now to be amazing, right? Now, here's the problem that I have. The first time you look at him, and I thought, as soon as I looked at him, I thought the same exact fucking thing. He resembles Ronnie Coleman structure-wise. Now, that being said, the reason why I'm saying this is because so many people are saying it. I wasn't going to say shit about it. And the reason why is comparing this new guy who just is getting started, who looks fantastic, right? Comparing him to Ronnie Coleman or saying he could be the next Ronnie Coleman, that's a lot of fucking pressure to put on this guy, right? It's the same thing with Sergio Oliva Jr., Hunter Labrada. You know, both of these individuals have very similar structure to their fathers. Sergio Oliva Jr., his father being Sergio Oliva, and Hunter, his father being Lee Labrada. But the thing is, people are always comparing them to their fathers, right? So they're always living in their father's shadows. Their fathers were legends, right? Just like Ronnie Coleman's a legend. And these guys are up and coming. They're really good at a young age, even probably better than their dads were at an earlier age, right? But yet they still get compared to the fathers, and they still have like that measuring stick to be compared. Like, if you don't live up to your father's standard, then you failed. Like, that's what goes through a lot of people's minds, and these guys have to deal with that. Now, it's hard enough becoming a pro bodybuilder and blazing your own trail and having a lot of talent like these guys have. Like, let's face facts. Talent plus hard work creates physiques that are just fucking mind-boggling, that shit we've never seen before, right? Hunter looks like his dad, but he's a much bigger version. You know, we have Sergio, who's way leaner than I've ever saw his dad in any competition, but has the same proportions. Like, you have these guys that, honestly, in my personal opinion, physique-wise, quality-wise, are reaching that status of having those muscle maturity, like all of that stuff earlier than their fathers did. Maybe because they started training younger, who knows, right? But with the case of Patrick Moore, Ronnie's not his dad, right? But that's what he's hearing all the time. People are just hammering that shit home all the time. Like, the next Ronnie Coleman, the next Ronnie Coleman, the next Ronnie Coleman. I'm going to put up a couple of pictures, right? And although, yes, like, you can see it, right? But why try to put that pressure on this guy? Why not just let him be Patrick Moore? Why not just let him play out his destiny and let him become Patrick Moore and not the next Ronnie Coleman? Like, if you're trying to compare this guy to Ronnie Coleman to meet the standards of Ronnie Coleman, you are setting him up to fucking fail by pushing that shit on him. Hopefully he has a strong mind and can just push that shit aside and just do his thing, right? But think about it like this, right? Ronnie Coleman himself didn't even know he could be King Ronnie until he did fucking 8 Olympias. Once he won 8 Olympias, that's how he knew he was going to be a legend. Ronnie didn't even know he could gain that type of mass, have that type of physique. Jay didn't know. Branch didn't know. None of these guys knew that they could actually look the way they did in the end until they got there. So we have no clue what Patrick Moore's future is going to be. All I know is everybody's piling a bunch of shit on his back already, expecting him already to be the next Ronnie Coleman because he has a similar structure. I mean, I looked at several pictures of him and I compared him to, we'll put up pictures and compare him to Ronnie here. And I'll be honest with you, like, when Ronnie first started, like where he was at, where this Patrick Moore guy is, I think Patrick Moore looks a little better than Ronnie did. He's a little bit harder. Ronnie was not super hard. He was actually kind of soft. And let's be 100% real, because Ronnie has said it, Flex Wheeler has said it, Kevin Levrone has talked about it, Sean Ray has talked about it. They've all said it openly. Once Ronnie finally hit steroids, once he finally took the shit that everybody else was taking, his body exploded. They didn't know he looked like that. He didn't know he looked like that. They had no idea he would surpass them. He had no idea he would surpass them. His body just responded to those drugs like that. He was fucking natural for a lot of that time. Now, I'm not going to speculate, right? I'm just fucking being real. Let's be fucking real, right? When you look at Patrick Moore, he doesn't necessarily look like he's natural. Ronnie, like, you could see the softness, didn't have that type of I don't say drug look, but that androgen out fucking hard look that you get with gear. So let's just play devil's advocate. Again, this is speculation. I'm not saying, I mean, what the fuck? They're pro bodybuilders. Of course they take shit. What the fuck? Nobody's stupid, right? But let's say he's already doing things that, you know, Ronnie hadn't done up to that point. So that means that his body is there, and although it may look a little harder and crisper than Ronnie's, he may not grow like Ronnie did because Ronnie waited so long to do the drugs. So now what happens is, again, this is just shooting from the hip, what is in my mind. If this guy starts letting that get to him, Patrick Moore, and he feels like he has to chase Ronnie Coleman, which I hope to God he doesn't. I hope that's not running through his mind. I hope he's just enjoying the fact that he's a pro bodybuilder. He's at the Olympia. You know, he's doing exactly what he wants to do. He's enjoying his life. He's got contracts. Like, he's in a good position right now, right? He should be smiling ear to ear. He shouldn't be out there being like, oh, no, I'm not close to Ronnie Coleman yet, right? If he can kind of put that aside and just do his own thing, then he doesn't need to look like Ronnie Coleman, right? We don't need another 289-pound Mr. Olympia again, right? That's just not where the Olympia is at right now, right? So why should he chase that direction? Like, everybody's expecting him to, and I hope he doesn't get caught up in that. But let's say he does get caught up in that. Let's say he's already using a good amount of drugs to look the way he does. He's going to push the drugs, push the drugs, push the drugs to try to chase what everybody expects him to be. And he's going to ruin that fucking amazing physique that he has right now. He's got a little tiny fucking waist, wide-ass fucking shoulders. He's hard as a fucking rock already. Great symmetry. You know, when I look at his arms to me are more reminiscent of Kevin Levroni's rather than Ronnie Coleman's. Ronnie's had that great peak on him. His is really thick from insertion. It's not super peaked like Ronnie's was. When he turned around to the back, his lats are a little bit higher than Ronnie's was. Ronnie had those like hanging lats. His are a little bit higher. It's more of a V shape rather than that hanging down lats, right? But if he tries to push that and tries to chase Ronnie, which, you know, like, I mean, let's face facts. Let's put ourselves in his shoe, right? Okay, we're a professional bodybuilder, right? We got to the Olympia. This year when we get to the Olympia, 2019, now the hoopla starts, right? All the hush, all the speaking behind the fucking scenes starts talking, right? Man, this guy could be the next Ronnie, next Ronnie. Now he feels like he has to live up to it, right? Do you know the amount of stress that's going to go on that guy to try to fucking make that happen? Do you know like what's going to go through his fucking mind? I mean, he could easily fuck everything up if he's chasing the legend of Ronnie Coleman. There's only one Ronnie. There's only going to be one Ronnie. There's one fucking Jay. There's one Branch. There's one Victor Martinez. There's one fucking Sean Roden. There's one Flex Wheeler. There's one Sean Ray. I can go on and on and on, but there's only one of these guys. There'll never be a carbon copy or someone that you could go, oh yeah, I mean, think about it, right? We had Dorian Yates. We had Lee Haney. We had Ronnie Coleman. We had Jay Cutler. We had Phil Heath. We have Sean Roden. We have Brandon Curry. Every one of those Olympians look different. They're not carbon copies of each other. So, you know, really doesn't matter whether he gets to be like Ronnie or not. What matters is if he keeps that waist down, he holds that conditioning, he doesn't fuck with the GH too much. Like, matter of fact, there's a thing, I should really dig for it right now and see, I should put up a video about that, but there is 100% undeniable data out there, scientific data, proof that the more growth hormone you use, and I mean the mad scientists actually talked about this. So if you took like 1 IU of growth hormone, only about 1/10 of that goes to muscle growth. The rest of it, 9/10, goes to all other fucking areas of the body. Bone growth, organ growth, and get this one, skin growth. While they're taking this growth hormone, it thickens the skin. And it's like 7% it can thicken it in like 10 weeks or whatever it was that they were using this high amount of growth hormone. 7%. And I'm like, 7% thickness, that's why these guys don't look hard and dry like the guys in the past did. The guys in the past used very little growth hormone because that shit was powerful. It was strong. It was fucking pharmaceutical grade. These guys nowadays don't have pharmaceutical. Most of even the pros, they're taking 20, 30, 40 IUs of this fucking growth hormone that, yeah, it's growth hormone, but they're not using actually 40 IUs. They're getting probably 20 IUs out of that fucking growth hormone, which is affecting their skin. So now you're looking at like, let's say that this Patrick guy says, fuck it, I got to push the growth because growth is how it's going to make me bigger like Ronnie, right? Gets wrapped up in the fucking I'm the next Ronnie Coleman thing. Like, again, I hope that he doesn't. Pushes the growth. He's hard as a rock right now. He's lean. That stuff is going to fucking start thickening his skin. Even though he's lean as fuck, when you grab his skin, there's no fat. The thickness of the skin is going to change. You're going to see the separation of his quads, his hamstrings, his glutes, all of that stuff starting to not be there just because of the fucking stuff he's pushing, because in his head, he's going to live up to some kind of hype that's being thrown at him right now. And I'm like, man, we should just leave this fucking guy alone. We should just tell him, hey, you're awesome. I think you're going to be awesome. Just keep doing what you're fucking doing. Stay on track. Like, my example for him is not Ronnie Coleman. It's fucking Dexter Jackson. If anybody he should be following suit, it should be fucking Dexter Jackson. Dexter didn't push the pace too hard with the drugs too fast. He started as a bantamweight. He now competes at like 235, 240 over the course of like 20 years. Was it 20 Olympias? I think it was 20 Olympias, and I think it was 29 pro wins or whatever. And he's gradually gotten bigger, but kept the lines, kept the muscularity, kept the hardness, known as the blade for being lean. Now he's starting to change as he's getting older, but Dexter did it to where he didn't ruin his physique while he was taking things. So in anything, instead of pointing at him saying, oh, like, you should look like Ronnie because you got the structure. Oh my God, you're the next Ronnie Coleman. You should be like, listen, you got great genetics. You got a great physique already. You've already been in the Olympia once, right? Take your time. Use Dexter Jackson as an example. Don't go fucking crazy. This is a marathon, not a sprint. Okay? Some of these guys that wind up in their first shot, they literally wound up there by chance because they hit some things that worked on their physiques really well. But again, we saw Ronnie and all the other guys start to fade as they get older too by pushing the drugs. Right? So it's like, take your time, get up there. I mean, Ronnie didn't start bodybuilding and turn Mr. Olympia fucking first try. It was like fucking decade or something like that before he ever even got on the Olympia stage, and he was last. Right? He went from last to winning the fucking thing. Right? Because he took his time. But once he went on that gear, he fucking blew up. He kept pushing it. When he made all those fucking gains, it ruined his physique. In my personal opinion, by the time he was done competing, that wasn't the Ronnie Coleman we loved. He wasn't super dominant. He would still win in size alone, but he wasn't dominant with the muscularity, the shape. He didn't have that stuff anymore. He had size. He just looked like a Belgian blue ox. So in my opinion, you know, Patrick, if you ever watch this, you've got a great physique, man. You're right there. I mean, I could easily look at you and say, look, 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 years, this fucking dude could easily be Mr. Olympia. There's no doubt in my fucking mind. You know, like Arnold Classic champion, fucking top pro. I mean, seems personable too, right? Easily can have the world by the fucking balls as a pro bodybuilder, which is kind of hard nowadays if he takes his time and does his thing, because he's already getting a lot of coverage right now just because he resembles Ronnie Coleman. If he just keeps getting better, doesn't fuck himself up, that coverage is going to turn from being, that's the next Ronnie Coleman, the way he looks and shit, into Ronnie Coleman's going to kind of fade away as far as how he compares to him. It's going to be Patrick Moore improving, Patrick Moore improving, Patrick Moore. It's going to become more about him and not really about Ronnie. But I think it's really, really fucking bad for me or anyone out there to be not just be comparing him, but be out there talking about comparing him, about how he could be the next Ronnie Coleman. I'm like, dude, that's a lot of fucking pressure. I mean, I'm sure it's flattering as shit. And he's like, that's totally fucking cool. I appreciate that. That's awesome. But, oh, fuck, how am I going to live up to that? Like, you know, none of the guys who became Mr. Olympia knew they could be that good until they got there. And you're trying to tell this guy already that he should be like that? And if he doesn't, he's wasting his fucking genetics. And he wasted all his fucking talent. That's a lot of shit to put on his shoulders. And that stuff leads to bad decisions. And bad decisions leads to not becoming the best Patrick Moore he can be, chasing the Ronnie Coleman thing. So hopefully, guys, you know, we see the emergence of a new star here. Not a flash in the pan, someone that fucks himself up, someone that never comes to fruition and be all they can be. We've seen that in the past with, like, Trey Brewer comes to mind, for instance. Trey was a young guy, like 20 years old or whatever he was, walking around at 350 pounds in the offseason. He did one show that he got in great shape for. He was fucking ripped at like 250 or something at like 20 years old. He was a fucking freak. But everybody kept talking about, he's the size guy. He's the size, like all the magazines, back then those magazines, you know, everybody was talking about, they were putting that pressure on him to be that big motherfucker. And he's already 250 on stage. They wanted him to be 300 on stage. They wanted him to be bigger than Nasser. That's what they were talking about. Bigger than Nasser, bigger than Jay, bigger than everybody. And he's a young kid. Like, eventually, what happened was he bulked the fuck up so big because he had to be huge, right? When he dieted down, he couldn't get this fucking weight back down. He could not get that shredded look. He was pushing the fucking drugs, pushing the food, doing everything he could. He had some health complications and shit, and he bowed out and quit the fucking bodybuilding altogether. Became a firefighter. That's what he does now. As far as I know, it was firefighting and personal training. But he was a kid that had a lot of talent, man. A lot of talent. Young kid. But he had a lot of pressure put on him at an early age, and it fucking just fried him quick. You know, like, my thing is, like, look, we got guys with talent. Patrick Moore's got a lot of fucking talent. A lot of God-given talent with him right now. He's doing fucking great with what he's doing right now. Let him keep making his plan and improving how he fucking does. Keep that weight small. Keep the conditioning tight. Slowly grow into whatever physique he wants to be in as far as weight-wise and stuff like that to be competitive, right? And let him do his thing. Stop putting the pressure on him. You know, support him, but don't pressure him. There's a difference. Supporting him on being there and saying, hey, man, you're doing great. Awesome, 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 blah, 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 blah. Listen to fucking what he's doing. Just be out there and tell him that fucking he's on track. You're a fan of his. You appreciate it, and you're fucking behind him all the way and you support him all the way, stuff like that is cool. Hitting him up and being like, yo, man, you should gain another 50 pounds. You'd be as big as Ronnie Coleman. That's not shit he needs. Okay, he doesn't need that shit fucking coming from all directions, which it seems like now, after the Olympia, it seems like it started at the Olympia, and now it's just fucking coming from all directions, and I'm like, dude, you guys are going to fuck this kid up. So that wouldn't be the first time it happened, and it definitely won't be the last, but why not? Let's let this kid fucking let it play out. Let's let him do his thing. Let him go through with his plan. Let him be the best that he can be, and let him fulfill his destiny to be Patrick Moore and not the next Ronnie Coleman. There's only going to be one Ronnie. We'll never see anybody like that again in our lives, ever. BioStrengthTraining@gmail.com. Leave comments down below, but don't fight. BioStrength.com is a blog. It's the only one Ronnie Coleman bicep, and that doesn't look like Ronnie's bicep, but there's only one Ronnie, and we are out.